Thank you for attending. We have a big, of course, it's a very interesting topic coming from our own President Katie, and we will have a very nice talk today. Like we have our brother here in the training, and we'll be time to introduce calling on our president to start the order.
Good afternoon, everybody. On the authority of the ruling of Makati, may I call this meeting to order.
We're going into the invitation. I call on responsibilities.
Creator and sustainer of all that is or will ever be, accept our thanks for this day and all its blessings. We ask that you guide and direct our club leaders and our actions. Grant that each of us may feel our responsibility to Rotary, to our community, to our country, and indeed to all countries and peoples. Bless our fellowship today and bless this food for the nourishment of our bodies in your service. Bless our guest speaker, Past President Eduardo and his highly innovative EDSA Busway project. May they gain the massive support of the private sector and the writing public that they so richly deserve.
It remains standing for the national anthem.
That was inspired by Marcellus.
Makati came, yes. Seeing and standing, and sitting, I would like to
We're the Rotary Club of Makati, and together we to aid our fellow men. As true Rotarians we live to lead. We believe in service above self, and this is why we succeed. We're the Rotary Club of Makati, and together we stand proud. We are leaders with integrity, always ready to serve humanity, always living by the four-way test, building goodwill and peace along the way, giving hope to the world. We're the Rotary Club of Makati, giving hope to the world. The Rotary Club of Makati.
When you repeat after me, please.
Yeah.
Is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it aim to create a better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? There we go. The greetings to the veterans and anniversaries. Already we have Rotarians, right now we have already seen some offered, very example, the 28th. Sam Young, the 31st, Andrew Field on November 4th. David Ortiz, November 2nd, Mario Pisa, November 7th. And for the Rotarian, we have William Tagliani, the 25th of October, Pino, for about the 26th of October, and Suman, we go on the 30th of October. For wedding anniversary, we're on May 30th, then 27th. For boy and the Nina Pedia, we support that date. The number 3 and for Shepherd, and the number 7. I also think that there's something that I would like to fall the tables. Yes, so I know for trading, they were able to be funny because he wants to do some presentation of all the raising level. So it's funny.
And here we go. May I ask, what's you to get this number 7 400? So we will get a thing with you. And let me tell you that every year, watch is the very first one to get the 407. Our big hand.
No. Let's read it. No, I have another white one. There he is. There he is. The Turkish ambassador is this why.
Guests. Please, ready? Ready? Can you please introduce our guests for today?
Siya ba yung Turkish ambassador?
Yeah.
Okay.
Today, I am deeply honored to introduce some of my friends from the Diplomatic Corps. Here is Ambassador His Excellency Niyazi Evren Akyol of Turkey. I'm sorry, Turkey. It's been changed, yeah. And then there's His Excellency Ambassador Ahmed Shehabekdin Andula of Egypt. And His Excellency Ambassador Michel Parais. Don't mispronounce that. In their language, it's Parais, not Paris, of Belgium.
Good. Thank you, Freddie. For other guests we have here, we have our aunts, and I'm going to acknowledge the ones we are with us right now. Nelly Bengson,
Send your number.
who is online,
Ando na eh.
Theory
Sa kanya
Buenaflor,
yan.
Cecile David,
Okay, Sir Ron?
Sa kanya.
Rose Galvez,
Okay.
Mimi Valerio is online, Angela Kila, Terry Tambunting, Deli Yap. For guests of President nominee Keith Harrison, Edmund Di Malanta. And other guests, we have Ross Alfonso, son of our invocator, past President Fidel. JP Cabalza, Multinational Foundation, Inc. Teacher Paz, Multinational Foundation, Inc. Father Rito Ibanez, guest of Rotarian B. Lim. Carlos Garcia, guest of PP Charlie Rufino. And past President Doris Ensonio. Okay. We pass on to the turnover of donation to the HEAL program. And I call the representatives of the HEAL program, please. I believe Mike. Oh my gosh. More of this. Okay, we will be given. Cabal. Well, Mr. Cabalza, I believe you want to give an update of your project. Can you come up here, please? Okay.
Yeah. Good afternoon. In behalf of Multinational Foundation, I would like to express our sincerest gratitude to the Board of Directors, members, and the Secretariat team of Rotary Club of Makati for continuously supporting the education of 10 underprivileged learners from the RCMI communities in Parañaque City. The reinforcement of RCMI of the home education and livelihood program known as HEAL truly helped the urban poor communities in sending their out-of-school youth to our current blended face-to-face and online tutorials using the modules of Sabo College for a high school diploma. Sabo is accredited by the Department of Education, and the program aims to integrate livelihood training in the curriculum. Our fervent wish is to provide formal K-12 schooling to prepare them for college education and gainful employment. Our common goal is simple. We would like to transform our out-of-school youth to be members of society with dignity through mentoring and education. When these learners graduate, it will be a solution to poverty reduction. When we started the program in 2015, the normal classroom format was implemented. It was indeed challenging when the COVID-19 pandemic hit in 2020. Our tutors needed to adapt and implement ways to continue teaching through the online platform. With the active involvement and total commitment of the RCMI Board of Directors through Director Ferdy Ordovesa, Rotarian Eduardo Rojas, Chief of Staff Ron Dutaro, Ms. Ria Vallejo, and our very own Program Director, Teacher Maria Paz Fernandez, who's also present, the HEAL program was able to move forward, further adapting to the pandemic as a way of life. The RCMI team, together with the foundation, were able to identify and augment learners from Rotary communities, including Villa Paraiso in Parañaque. The on-site learning started just last month, September 1st of this year, 2022, at the RCMI Villa Paraiso Learning Center. This RCMI Learning Center has been reopened as classroom and library for the children. By November 2022, next month, we shall start the on-site learning too at our Lady of Peace Parish, also in Parañaque. We have a total of 34 learners in the K-12 module, ages 6 to 17 years old. 10 learners are under RCMI, ages 10 to 17, and 24 learners are under Multinational Foundation. We have 2 tutors who assist the learners in their academics and social skills, and a catechist to nurture and strengthen their faith and relationship with our Creator. Okay. So again, the foundation together with the learners would like to express our appreciation to Rotary Club of Makati in making our vision a reality. Maraming salamat po sa tulong ninyo. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Mr. Cabalzo, for your update. And now I want to call on a new Rotarian in our club. His name is B. Lim, who will be telling us more about him. B, can you come up here, please?
Good afternoon, everybody. I was told just yesterday to do a short classification talk, which is basically say something short about you. I just joined the club about 2 weeks ago through the invitation of my uncle, Tito Panlilio. And we got inducted during that time. So this will probably be my 3rd meeting so far. To give a background of myself, I graduated from Ateneo 2007. And it's nice to see a lot of my dad's friends in the club. Um, After graduating, I went to the stock market with my aunt, Auntie Vivian Yuchenko, and we started trading stocks, which unfortunately I am not quite good at. But we met Uncle Michael when we tried to sell him a shell company. So that's what I do now. We backdoor list companies. We did it already for LBC, which we backdoor listed in 2015. That was a deal where we gave them the company. So now I'm actually the biggest minority shareholder of LBC after that deal. We backdoor listed Okada 2014, but they never used that company, so it's actually still available. We met Uncle Michael when I think he was considering listing his company at the time. But we never did that. So after doing a couple of these deals where we were able to successfully list companies, I actually semi-retired at the age of 30. And what we do now is a lot of outreach. That's why I joined the club, because it's a lot of service-oriented club. So a lot of what we do is actually today I invited a guest, Father Rito, who we do a lot of outreach with him. So I think they have a school. So we have about somewhere between 16 to 20 seminarians from abroad who we support until they graduate. Full scholarship. And then we started this project recently during the pandemic where we go around once a week to people in the streets, giving them food. And what we, aside from giving food, what we gave recently was we give a lot of them money to go back home to the provinces, since a lot of them get stuck here and they have no more way to go back to the province. So that's what we did a couple of weeks ago. And aside from that, I don't know if you've been to SVD Farm in Tagaytay, but we donated a greenhouse to them and event center with a waterfall, which will be done by December. So basically what happened with the SVD seminary was they used to get a grant of about, I'm not sure, it was I think 5 to 7 million from the Vatican every year, which was stopped this year suddenly by the Vatican. So they started finding ways to raise funds. So they built a farm in a 5-hectare property, which now they have a event center, they have a coffee shop, and they have a greenhouse selling fruits and vegetables. And they make 2 million per month now. Yeah, doing this. It's very nice. You should visit it. It's beside the Pink Sisters in Tagaytay. So now instead of just asking for money, they have an income generating of 2 million per month by selling food, selling vegetables, renting out the place as an event center. So by December, I'll invite you guys. We are building a waterfall from the hill to go down to the event center, where there will be a statue of I think it was Sacred Heart of Jesus. So it will now be a pilgrimage site also. So hopefully they'll have more guests there. And our goal is to have it done by November, December. So by December, it should be done. When we did the inauguration for the event center last September, it was attended by 100 priests in the area. So that's what we do now, mostly outreach na lang. And backdoor listing. So if anyone wants to backdoor list, I have the last available shell company. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Vic, for all your good deeds supporting social programs. I want to call on our president, Michael Escalier, for his president's time.
Good afternoon to everyone. I am very happy to see us in big attendance, especially with the support of the AANs, who are really the backbone of all that we do. It feels good to be back after being away for a month. I would like to thank today, especially Director Philip Soliven and Attorney Louis Calleja for taking over my place as President. Maraming salamat. When I was told before by Sid Garcia about running or about being the president of Rotary Makati, he said, "Don't worry, Michael, you have our support. You don't even have to do anything. Just be there, and the Rotary Club members will do all the work." And so it's true. Thank you, Sid. Our talk today is all about giving thanks. Thank you to our members and aunts who joined the fun last October 16 at the pavilion for the District 830 Oktoberfest. PDG Peps Bengson and PP Doris and Somo, PP Reggie and Sue Ann Nolido, and of course the ever-present President nominee Keith and Rachel Harrison. Once again, RC Makati supported the health caravan of the district held last Thursday at Southville 3 in Muntinlupa, to which our club donated 300 hygiene kits. I would like again to thank PN Keith Harrison and Neil Makasayar for participating in that activity. Thank you, Keith, and thank you to Neil. We also had to thank our golfers who last Friday, together with me, represented our club at the Summit Point in Lipa. PDG Peps Bengson, PN Keith Harrison again, Director Andrew Prieto, and Rodrigo Segura. We fell just a few points from qualifying, but will surely come up with a stronger team next time. A welcome consolation is given to our PN Keith because he won the Class B championship. Congratulations, Keith. I would like to thank Sue Ann Nolido and her team for partnering with us and bringing joy to over 70 kids in Guadalupe Viejo community for a Halloween party last Saturday. Thank you to those who took the time to be with the kids, past President Junjun Dairit, President nominee Keith Harrison, Reggie and Say Ponferrada, Boy Arteche, and members of the project partners RCC Bukuluran and the Rotary Club of Makati. Thank you again, President nominee Keith Harrison, for accepting my short notice invitation to represent the club in the Davao for RC Davao's charter anniversary. I was scheduled to go there yesterday, but I felt under the weather, so Keith again volunteered to take my place. We have scheduled another trip on November 25 to November 28, this time in Cebu, for RC Cebu's milestone 90th anniversary at the Marco Polo Club. So far, we already have 10 people in our delegation, and we hope we can get more of our members to join us. It is this occasion like this that we get to expand our reach in both fellowship and service. The better for us to find new avenues to get our mission done, to do good for the world. Lastly, I would like to acknowledge the efforts of Director Julian Lim, with the support of our Treasurer Tony Lopez, of overseeing the process of the revival of our Inter-Act Club. Tony Lopez, you're just in time for me to thank you for reactivating our Rotaract. Thank you again to Vic Lim for attending the orientation yesterday at General Pio del Pilar National High School to ensure the easy transformation of these young kids into the Rotary world. I would like to also say it's nice to see Sunny Tambunting. Every time I see you, I'm happy. And of course, Louis, our ever-present president. Thank you very much and all have a nice afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael, for your president's time. And now I want to call on Portia Peña. Is he here? Who will be introducing our guest speaker, our dear Vice President Eddie Yap, who will be talking about the EDSA Busway, which is a project that was implemented in my country, in Bogota, and has been very, very successful. Of course, that doesn't happen overnight, takes some hurdles, but it's a very, very convenient project actually to implement in Manila. So please, Porsche.
Thank you. Thank you. Can I have your attention? Okay. Can I have your attention? Can I have your attention? Okay, thank you. I joined the club of Rotary Club of Makati through past District Governor Sid Garcia. I met our guest speaker when I was inducted in the Rotary Club of Makati as a new member. He was the president at the time. And then he even gave me a pin, first pin of Rotary Club of Paul Harris Fellow as a requirement to be a member of Rotary Club of Makati as dictated by the promoter of Paul Harris Fellow, past District Governor Tony Kila. My first impression on his physical appearance of the guest speaker is he is prim and proper and look gorgeous when he wears his suit with matching colorful tie. As you can see in the picture, can you see it? He is wearing the long sleeve barong Tagalog, and his mustache is like a masculine and properly trimmed. And I'm sure his mustache has a license. During his term as Rotary Club of Makati, that coincide to the 50th year anniversary of our club, I witness and see how busy he is. The anniversary celebration done in Shangri-La Ballroom in BGC. First time being used since it was newly opened, 6-star hotel. I was amazed to the club preparation with gathering of all past presidents wearing tuxedo with gold bow tie, while our guest speaker is wearing a complete full white tuxedo. And he looked eye-catching and outstanding with pride among the men surrounding him when taking group pictures of all past presidents. Our guest speaker is not only a Rotarian, but also a concert producer of classic songs and musics. And among his selected productions are Adeste Fidelis Christmas Concert, Santuario de San Antonio, December 2006. Adeste Fidelis Christmas Concert at PICC, Plenary Hall, December 2007. Vienna Spring Concert at Shangri-La Ballroom, BGC, March 2016. I think it's our club anniversary, if I'm not mistaken. Movie Music in Concert SM Aura, November 2018. Music from Mobis, SM Aura, August 2019. A Flavor of Vienna, Shangri-La Ballroom, Makati, 2019. Another activity of our guest speaker is writing some articles at newspaper like Philippine Star, Inquirer, about his advocacy to improve the EDSA condition of traffic, congestion and greening of EDSA. I am a witness about his strong urge to the implementation of the busway or the bus rapid transit by closely convincing the Secretary of DOTR, Mr. Art Tugadi, and his staff of transport planner as the one doable solution to decongest the traffic in EDSA. In fact, he even convinced private businessmen like SM, Double Dragon, and Asiana to donate busway terminal in front of their business establishment. SM donated 3 locations. One is in Mega Mall, one is in North, and one is in MOA. Double Dragon is one, and Asiana is also one. As I observe our guest speaker, is he practicing Rotary's motto of service above self. He gave his time, talent, and resources, especially in coordination meeting with different government agencies like DOTR, DPWH, MMDA, local mayors, utilities provider, just to convince the benefit of EDSA traffic decongestion by using the effective solution and been successfully practiced, used in Indonesia, Colombia, Brazil, and other parts of the world. Our guest speaker also practicing 4-way test, which is, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Yes. His vision is someday that busway will be fully and completely operated, that will benefit to all concerned. His work contribute as a catalyst and ignite the interest of fast track and upgrade the operation, maintenance, funding through PPP. For a Rotary Code of Conduct, he acts with integrity and high ethical standard in his personal and professional life. He also deals fairly with others and treat them and their occupation with respect. So much for all this accomplishment. Our guest speaker is currently the chairman of Infrastructure Committee of the Management Association of the Philippines, chairman of Water and Security Committee, chairman of Art and Culture Committee, all in Management Association of the Philippines, and lastly, the chairman of newly created Green EDSA movement. Now, it is my distinct honor and privilege in introducing our guest speaker for today's meeting, the pride of Rotary Club of Makati, another qualified district governor, the debonair past president, Eddie Yap.
Thank you so much, Porsche. Let me assure you that my presentation will be longer than your introduction. Good afternoon, my fellow Rotarians and guests. God is good. God is merciful. It's good to be alive. 2 weeks ago, my life was hanging by a thread. but by the grace of God, through his instrument of mercy, Dr. Andrew Prieto. Andrew, thank you again for saving my life. It's been 2 weeks now. The day before my attack, I was here. Governor Tony Kila remembered that, yeah, you handed to me the Paul Harris pin. Tuesday, I was okay. The following day, I played golf in the morning, had a long lunch with my friends, went through a lot of wines, Pinot Noir, Merlot, Shiraz, Cabernet Sauvignon, the works. So everything was fine. But 1 hour later, boom, my heart attack. So just to show you how treacherous a heart attack can be. So a word of caution to all of you, know the signs, know your body, and have a very good cardiologist like Andrew. Okay, so it's good to be here again with you. This will be the second time I'll be talking about the busway. The first time was right after it was introduced in 2020. And now I have some good developments to share with you. So I'm glad I'm doing this in my hometown, the Rotary Club of Makati. So can we have the presentation? Ron? Where do I point? Technical glitch. Ha! Are we okay now? Ha? Ito, kwan ito. No, pointer yan. Yung kwan. Yung there. Okay. Okay. So we start with a basic premise. We in the Management Association of the Philippines believe that efficient public transportation is essential. It is not just necessary, but essential for social and economic progress. Now, I don't know whether you're aware of this, but the Ambition 2040 survey that was conducted in 2015 shows that 62% of Filipinos aspire to own a car. So I think Conrad will be very happy. Bimbo as well. Those in car dealership, 62%. But I was very much disturbed when I saw the presentation because if all of these 62% will get their wish to own a car, it will be disastrous for our country. First of all, we don't have the roads to accommodate them. Second, in terms of foreign exchange outflow, that's gonna have a great effect again on our balance of payments. Now, this was the situation before. This comparison will show you how much behind we were in public transportation. These three transit maps will show you. The one on the right is Metro Manila. Now compare against Kuala Lumpur, Bangkok. So because of that, it's understandable that 62% of our people wanted to have their own car. Now, but then I always believe that, as Voltaire said, the only thing constant in this world is change. We cannot always be a laggard. The underinvestment, gross underinvestment in public transportation will not continue because our government is not exactly static. So the despair from multi-decade of gross underinvestment in public infrastructure gives way to hope. Now, I'll show you why we have a hopeful future. On September 6th last year, I wrote an article in the Inquirer. I said, toward Metro Manila's new age in public transportation. Now, I said that Metro Manila is on the cusp of a new age in mass public transportation, undergoing transformation through structural policy reforms and projects. Now, I would like, before I continue, I would like to acknowledge the presence of our good ambassadors from Belgium, Egypt, and Turkey. Yes, Turkey, right? No. Now, I would like to especially mention, because you three countries have one thing in common. You have BRTs. You have BRTs in your cities, and that is helping a lot the public. Now, we're not yet there, so that's what we're trying to do. Okay. Right now, we only have a busway. We have not yet graduated to a BRT, and I'll show you the difference. Okay, so why do I say that we are on the cusp of a new age? I'll quickly go through this. Manila to Clark Rail, the MRT 7, which is being constructed all the way to San Juan del Monte, Bulacan. The LRT-1 extension to Cavite, Manila South Commuter Rail, Blumentritt to Calamba, Laguna, MRT-3 fully rehabilitated now. And here, you know, probably unknown to many of you, we now have a second busway, and it is in Cavite. From Pitix to Imus, Lancaster City, Tansa, and Governor Drive. The second in the country. MRT-4, so the it's not only in the north and the south, but also eastward, all the way to Taytay. We're going to have rail. And then, of course, the Metro Manila Grand Subway. Okay. Construction has started. In fact, you know that traffic has been disrupted on Meralco Avenue because they're now starting to drill. And a second subway in Makati City. So this will transform, this will greatly transform not only Metro Manila, but our region as well, because this will allow urban dispersal, decongestion of Metro Manila. It will unleash the potential of our regions in the south, in the north, and in the east. This will boost economic productivity, enhance social interaction. It will provide affordable housing because housing has become very expensive in the inner city. It will improve air quality. It will give better quality of life to our people. And lastly, this is going to propel the region to upper middle income status. So the
transformation will be great, and be ready to participate, especially those in real estate. Tessie Amparo, for instance, is very good in real estate investment. So investment opportunities abound because of this change in public transportation. Okay, so going to the EDSA busway, I like to say that it is, we started as having a ugly duckling, and then from there, why ugly duckling? Because this was the situation before the busway on EDSA. I think you still remember this, no? Dysfunctional bus service, chaotic traffic. Then it was very dehumanizing for the riding public. No wonder 62% of them wants to own a car because they see all of you riding in air-conditioned car while they suffer the inconvenience of waiting indefinitely on the, not only on the sidewalk, but all the way on the road pavement to get a, desperately trying to get a ride, no? So because of this situation, which existed for almost 2 decades, Your Excellencies, Mr. Ambassador, our situation persisted, you won't believe this, for almost 20 years like this. Chaotic traffic, dysfunctional public transportation. So much so that Rockwell said, why Metro Manila traffic will never be solved. And then here's another one. How do you solve a problem like EDSA? Okay. So as James Bond said, never say never. As I said, as Voltaire said, the only thing constant in this world is change. So here, there are studies upon studies conducted on Metro Manila traffic. And this one will show you where the densest traffic condition is in Metro Manila. Those in bold red, that's where the traffic is the densest in terms of vehicle and in terms of commuters. So this is a guide for those who want to learn about the traffic conditions. No? So, so this is the new normal. Ron, can you click the video? This is now the new normal. So the busway is efficiently operating. Buses no longer stagnate in traffic because the busway was transferred to the inner lane, aligned with the median. So you can see the difference on the private vehicle lanes. It is congested, but not on the busway. There are reasons for this. I will show you later why it is more efficient for the busway to be aligned at the median. Ron, can we have the next one? Okay. This one is even during peak traffic hours. Look at the busway. It's functioning efficiently. Okay, let's go through. Now, so this is the new normal, I would say. Before, when people talk about EDSA, they conflate the traffic in the bus lanes with the private car lanes. But since the introduction of the busway, buses have decoupled from private cars. So it is a mistake for you to say that, the traffic condition in EDSA is bad. Yes, it is bad, but only on the private car lanes for the simple reason that Metro Manila Authority has stuck to its only solution, which is coding, car coding and coding. Okay? Now, for the last 20 years, we know that it has been ineffective. While the busway has solved the problem of bus traffic congestion. Now, but as expected, not only in our country, whenever there is a solution to a certain problem, there will be some who will be skeptical because, as I said, nobody expected a solution after 20 years. No. So because of that, one even went on radio to say that yung EDSA busway, sablay yan. Sablay. Okay? So now, here comes Secretary Jose Ping de Jesus, who was Secretary of Public Highways and Secretary of Transportation. And he said, the busway scheme is the most practical solution ever proposed in a long time to try to put order in the EDSA traffic. So as I said, the new normal now on EDSA is that from Monumento to Ayala, it takes only 40 minutes. From EDSA North Avenue to Ayala Makati, it takes only 25 minutes. On the first day, when the busway was pilot tested on June 1, 2020, I went there to take the bus at EDSA North Avenue. And at that time, it took me 27 minutes. So from Monumento to Pitix, Parañaque, it is under 1 hour. At the early part, when the bus drivers were racing against each other, they were betting on who can get to Pitix the soonest. And some made it within 45 minutes. But in the process, they bumped against the concrete barriers. You remember the image that went viral? Concrete barriers flying because buses were sideswiping them. Well, they were racing against each other. But the normal time is under 1 hour. Well, you know that before, it took an indefinite time from 2 to 3 hours, if ever you get to your destination. And in terms of ridership, the busway has already carried 90,743,000 passengers in the 24 months period from June 2020 to May 2022. On average, in August, the busway carried 335,000 passengers. Okay? And how much did the government spend? Only less than about 800 million pesos, while achieving a ridership of 335 million passengers. Now, well, even a Ferrari, who is that motorist? Is that somebody among you? Even a Ferrari prefers the EDSA busway. Okay? So now he's answering for his feeling of entitlement. But then it's like this. Buchanko, in just one sentence, encapsulated the situation in the busway. He said, good ideas, but execution. Okay? Now, this is important because subsequently, we decided to do something about it. And I'll explain to you. Now, so because of that, but execution, uh, if you're familiar with an airport, there is the air side and the land side. The air side is the runway. Okay, the land side is the terminal. So in the same manner, the busway on the air side is the carriageway, the busway is efficient. Okay, but on the land side, on the stations, that's where the problem is. So you must understand the problem. In order, if you want to try to offer solutions, you have to analyze carefully what is the problem. So the problem is not in the carriageway, but on the line side stations. And I'll show you. Look at this. Look at this situation in the stations. The congestion there, commuters lining up all the way from the sidewalk. And then, so what is the solution to this? Somebody said, who was supposed to be an expert, he said, oh, move the busway back to the curbside, like the yellow bus lane, okay? And then, here, this one. And this is supposed to be a transport planner. He wrote on Facebook, revert the busway to the yellow bus lane at the curbside. And then a kibitzer posted in social media, said, buti pa, balik na lang ang istasyon sa dati, sa tabi ng sidewalk para kung maskisan, pwedeng sumakay at baba. So these are the things that you get, Now look at, if they will be granted, if their wish will be granted, this is what will happen again on EDSA. Okay? It will be a huge parking lot. So we in MAP, especially in my committee, we said no backsliding. Because here in our country, frequently, whenever we have a program, a new program, there is an attempt to backslide. I don't know in your country, for instance. I'll cite to you one example. Last year, when the rice situation was very bad, we in the Foundation for Economic Freedom, we push for liberalizing the rice importation, okay, through the rice tariffication law. And we were able to bring down the price of rice, but of course the farmers complained. At the time when the bill was already approved and on the table for the president to sign, a group of farmers went to Malacanang to oppose the bill. But fortunately, Secretary Dominguez, with the backing of the private sector, maintained its position firmly to have it pass. So now, we don't have a problem with rice. Our problem now is with sugar and all other commodities. Again, the same problem. Importation is controlled. And whenever something is artificially controlled, you have inefficiencies. That is a basic truth. So now, there are some who wants to bring back import regulation again on rice. No? So that's what we call backsliding. So in our case, we rely on pilot test results, on BRT standards. So Secretary Bautista, fortunately, he visited the stations, and when he saw the conditions there, the crowding, he said, the status quo is unacceptable. We need to upgrade our public transportation to global standards. So we were very happy when we saw that, when we heard him say that, because most in the private business sector and the NGOs, they recognize that as we do, public transportation is essential to economic and social progress, that the EDSA busway is a vital solution, and what should be done is to upgrade the busway through privatization. So that was what we decided on, and we embarked on a campaign and to enlist the support of the private sector. And this is what happened. No? 30 business groups, among the largest in our country. 30 business groups supported a joint statement urging the government to privatize the busway. Okay. And it was a very hot topic. On the day I was discharged, as I was being wheeled out, I was requested for an interview by Channel 7. I was still on the wheelchair on the way out. But anyway, okay, so here it was big news. And the response of the Secretary of Transportation was very encouraging because, just days afterwards, he announced that he backs the privatization of EDSA. And then he ordered the feasibility study prepared. And you know, if you understand the PPP process, a feasibility study is necessary when the government is going to tender a project for public bidding. That's where the feasibility study comes in. If it's going to be a solicited proposal. But there is another modality, which is the unsolicited proposal. And in that case, the government feasibility study is irrelevant because it is the private proponent who will prepare the feasibility study to support his proposal to the government. So the solution is to privatize and to upgrade the busway to BRT standard because we would like to join Belgium, Egypt, and Turkey as well to have BRTs. Now, this is what we would like to have on EDSA. Bus station platform that are wide and long to allow for double-sided loading of buses. Not like this. This is what we have now in Guadalupe. Okay. We would like to have this. This is also among the busway standard. Platform floor aligned with bus floor. Okay, for one step in, one step out. No, and there's a very good reason for this. So that the dwell time of buses in stations will be short, especially in a dense corridor as EDSA. This is very important. And look at what we have now. Commuters have to go down from the platform to the roadway to get up to the bus. Okay. Now, this is what we would like to have also, universal access, so that even PWDs will have no problem. And this is again another feature that we would like to have in our busway. Turnstiles with a top card, pre-board payment system, not the mano-mano, you pay in cash. And here is what this one is in Rojas Boulevard. There's only one lane beside the station, again in violation of busway standard, because there's no passing lane. Now, there's a good reason for that. I'll show you. This is the kind of busway station that we would like to have. And for this, I would like to thank the architecture firm of Porsche Peña. Porsche, okay? So when we were in meetings with Secretary Tugade, I asked him, what are the features that you would like to have in our busway stations? Well, number one, he said, iconic design. He doesn't want the present footbridges of Metro Manila. Okay. Number two, it must be comfortable. The stairs must be wide and the slope will gentle, and there must be PWD access. So this is how we design it, and then the architect of Porsche interpreted the concepts into this one. Here you'll see that there are provisions for even a cafe in the concourse. This is another concept for EDSA North Avenue. Look at the perspective. So, Tessie Amparo, sometimes what I do is I ask myself, pasado kaya to kay Tessie? Ha, Tessie? Pasado kaya to kay Tessie Amparo? Compared to what we have now? Ito ang atin ngayon. Tessie, yan ang atin ngayon. Okay? So, obviously, this is what we have now, no? A very narrow station platform. Okay, now here, the busway standard calls for a varied fleet of buses for multiple service. Local service with lesser passengers stopping in all the stops, limited service, and express service. So these are the different types of vehicles that will be needed. The one on the right side, this is the latest technology. This is called a articulated bus train, and it is even capable of autonomous driving. You don't even need a driver for this one. So in Dubai, you can see this. Brisbane, you can see this as well. This is the interior of commuter buses, spacious with very large windows. This is what we would like to have on the busway, and the different kinds of stations and service. Local, limited, and express service. And here, linkage with other modes of transportation. A control center. Now, let me show you this. EDSA is not perfect for a busway, but we have to be thankful to Secretary De Jesus because 40 years ago, he built the overpasses on EDSA, you remember? At that time, he was criticized for it. A columnist said that he was building roller coasters on EDSA. But thankfully, he built those overpasses. So that's why now EDSA is very ideal for the busway because the intersections were eliminated. Ron, can you activate the video? Okay, this is what a so-called transport planner said, sablay daw ang EDSA busway because of the presence of up ramps and down ramps. But if you look at the computer simulation, there are solutions. There's a simple solution to that. Okay. Look how buses and private cars can coexist. Okay, next one, please. Next, Ron. Okay, you know, there are so many well-meaning people who try to help, and because of the buses that are not equipped with doors on the left side, some suggest counterflow traffic. But then this has been considered, and it is unsafe for the simple reason that on EDSA we have the down ramps and the up ramps. No, the buses on counterflow will collide with normal traffic, and that's very dangerous. Next, Ron. Ron, can we have the next slide? So, okay, let me emphasize to you that a busway or a BRT is not just a bus line. It is a transit system governed by standards with guidelines, no? You cannot just say that, oh, you want the alignment to be here or there. You cannot just say that the busway will be constructed in such a manner, no? It has to be dedicated for buses, and it has to be aligned away from conflict traffic. These are basic standards that are refined. So here you can see that the BRT standard has undergone 2 revisions. One in 2012, 2013, and the latest one is 2016. And next slide, please. Ron, next. Okay. Now, you know, there is a technical committee reviewing and developing these standards. They represent the best minds in public transit development and planning. Okay. So, you know, the roster, the names there, if I read them for you, you will see that they are from many parts of the country. And they contribute their experience, their expertise in developing the BRT standard. So, what is the purpose of a BRT? It is to have high quality service, high capacity, high speed, customer oriented public transport. Well, in EDSA, that's what we need. High speed, high capacity, because it's so dense. We have a daytime population of about 20 million people. And in EDSA, it has been shown that there are more than 1 million commuters. So you cannot have a bus system with what we have now, small, narrow platforms, inefficiency. Now, okay, just to give you an idea of the BRT standards, there are 6 standards. The first one is the basic standard, which has 38 points weight. The second one is service planning, 19 points. Infrastructure, 13 points. Stations, 10 points. Communications, 5 points. Access and integration, a total of 100 points. So a busway or a BRT is being scored and graded by this NGO, the Institute for Transportation Development Policy. It is based in New York. Okay. So based on this scorecard, it will grade the BRT. Okay. Now let me show you. Next. Okay. So in the basic standard, which has 38 points, it consists of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements. The first element, the most important, is that it must be a dedicated right of way. The second element is the busway alignment, where you place the busway. Okay. The third is off-board payment. Okay. then intersection treatments, and the next one is platform level boarding. So these are the basic BRT standard. If you do not have this, your busway cannot be considered a BRT. Okay. Okay. Now there are rankings for BRT. Rated gold, silver, bronze, and basic. Now for gold rated, they have a score of 85 to 100 points. Perfect score. So it's gold rated. Next is silver, up to 84 points, bronze 69 points, basic 55 points. Now let me show you. I'll skip through this. Now, so what is the BRT standard? It is a global effort by these transportation experts, okay, to establish a common definition of bus rapid transit and to ensure that BRT systems more uniformly deliver world-class standard of service. Okay. Okay. So for gold to be rated up to gold standard, the BRT must in all respects conform with international best practice, achieve the highest operational performance and efficiency while providing a high quality of service with the greatest ability to inspire the public as well as other cities. So that's why I have recommended to Secretary Bautista that we should upgrade the busway not only to global standard BRT, but also aspire for gold rating. Okay. Now, I'll give you some example. I think Rodrigo will be very happy. The gold rated busways in the world includes Buenos Aires in Argentina, Belo Horizonte in Brazil, Curitiba. Curitiba is considered the pioneer of BRTs. Okay. Then here, Bogota, Colombia, Transmilenio BRT, rated gold. Okay. And Guangzhou in Zhongshan Road in China, gold rated. So I mentioned Curitiba because Curitiba was the first one in, I think, 1980s. After the busway was introduced in England, Curitiba upgraded the busway to a BRT. So that's why it is considered the pioneer of BRT in the world. This is Bogota's Transmilenio of Rodrigo Segura. Now, Zhongshan, look at Zhongshan. Zhongshan in China has the longest stations in the world. It can carry more than 1 million passengers per day. Okay, much more than many subways in China because the station platforms are very long. And look at the access on the right side. Here, the footbridge, the overhead bridges. This is in accordance also with BRT standard. So that's why when you hear a transport planner say that, oh, you dispense with that access, commuters will have to climb the stairs, cross the road to go to the station. Okay, so that's a little inconvenience, but in exchange, what do you get? The high efficiency of a transit system. So that's why this is in the busway standard, no? The access. Well, okay. So we in MAP, we undertook a process. It is not just, deciding, okay, we'll privatize. We undertook a process, okay? and we conducted a roundtable discussion to explore the privatization of the busway. So we did this in September 9, and here somebody mentioned to me that the PPP Center should be utilized for this one. I think, yeah, it's Governor Peps Benson. He wrote a paper on privatization. You see, we have transportation people here in our own club. Peps Benson wrote a paper on privatization, and he wants the government to centralize the PPP with the PPP Center. Okay, now, last administration, PPP was not favored. You know that. The preference was for ODA. Okay, but this time, the president announced he wants private sector participation. Okay, and we recommended to Secretary Bautista, make use of the PPP Center. Now, these are the people in the PPP Center. We met with them. Then on September 13, we drafted the terms of reference for the bidding. Now, I cannot give you the details because this is confidential. Okay? We submitted this to the secretary, and it's up for him to divulge this. Okay? But let me just tell you that it has all of 6 pages. Okay? And among the contents are performance metrics, very clear performance metrics, so that each proponent can be evaluated on equal footing. Okay? And the expectation from each one of them, their commitment is set clear in the terms of reference. And the bidding will be a 2-step bidding process. One is for the technical bidding, and the next one, for those who pass, then go to the financial bid. Now, I am very happy to inform you that this year I constituted a technical working group precisely because I felt that the present situation cannot continue with the way the busway is being developed, and that we have to go to the next level. So I constituted a technical working group consisting of 3 former secretaries of the Department of Public Works and Department of Transportation, and 2 undersecretaries. You know, I'm just an amateur, okay? But I'm very happy that, you know, we're working together, and the output was the terms of reference. And one of them among my team is former Secretary Estuar here. You know, he's a mathematical genius. He came up with certain formulations for the financial bidding. Okay? One is a simplified method, and the other one is to conform to the World Bank value for money model. Value for money model. Okay. So because there might be a situation wherein the technical bidding, let's say 5 will qualify, and then in the financial bid, one might offer the best proposal, but in the technical bidding, he will not be rated, he's not rated high enough. So what do you do? Okay, so this has been taken into consideration, and I'm very happy to inform you that Secretary Estuar here was able to come up with a mathematical formula for it. Okay, well, let me go back in time. No? Because of the situation, it was in Governor Seat is a member of MAP, and I think you still remember, no? After the Carmageddon, we constituted a traffic committee, which was headed by me. And this is when I presented the busway proposal. You know, it's not something that just came out of my mind. I'm not the one who innovated or invented the busway proposal, solution rather. This is the position paper that I prepared. This is the diagram. Now, actually, the solution was obvious because the busway was introduced in 1971. Curitiba, Transmilenio were already introduced by the time we had Carmageddon. And then the MRT 3 was very obvious for all to see that a dedicated trackway is not affected by traffic. So based on that, so I felt that the solution is just to follow what others have. You know, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Okay? So that's what we did. And this is now where we are. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Vice President Eddie, for this informative and comprehensive presentation. I believe we understand the goodness of the project now is to push with these different things we have to do in order to make it happen. Now, I open the floor for questions, if you have any, please. Tony, please. Go ahead.
I would just like to, instead of a question, I would just like to make an announcement. Our next meeting is November 8th. So that's the governor's visit. So we'd like to urge everyone to please come and also show our support to the governor and to the candidacy of Reggie Nolido. And then we will also acknowledge some of our major donors with President Michael and Papat. I hope Papat will come as major donor level 3. Felix Amparo and Tessie Amparo, major donor, and also Eddie Galvez and Trina Galvez. So I hope you will come on November 8th.
Thank you, Tony. Mr. Ambassador, you have a question, please.
Okay. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. So that I'm speaking here, not in my capacity as an ambassador. However, it gives me the privilege to speak the voice of the poor because I like the poor. Here, I like the Philippines because of the Filipino people. This is why I'm trying just to make comments and to give some food for thought. I don't have solutions. However, I worked a very long time on this topic. I prepared some paper. I'm a lawyer, half economist, on how to solve the traffic and then all this thing at high quality. But recently, I'm revisiting all the ideas I had because of a few days ago, Nobel Prize of Physics went to one quantum physics scientist who challenged in part some of the relativity theory of Einstein. So now that we have to revisit all our classic ideas of that and to think about the cross-sectoral analysis of the situation. So after the pandemic, so this is the first thing after the pandemic, I believe that the world is entering a new era of business where the work from home will be a new normal somehow, or would be required. Having said that, okay, the education system would need just some investment for the population to be ready for this. So I don't know whether would be some analysis of the impact of the COVID and the lockdown on the traffic, on the quality of environment. So this would be a good topic to talk about in the future, or to think about how to integrate that. And also the education system, how to take a new model of education where that we have virtual hand in hand with the physical presence, which would be also just to with deal with some infrastructure. And third, since we have this new climate change and the emission, so we have to think about how to make the infrastructure. This I'm giving these headlines or that food for thought for the Filipino, because I believe that they are my friends. I love you guys. So the third one, this is the climate change, and this climate change, and people, they are panicked somehow, or they are sexy topic, and they have a lot of money, trillions of dollars up there in funds, really there. How you benefit from that? How you upgrade your economy to the extent that to benefit from the funds laying over there? So you have to follow the standardization they made to tackle your problems and to solve your problems and to develop your country. Thank you very much. I don't have solutions, but I have some food for thought. Thanks, Ed. Thanks for everybody to accommodate me. I try to be not longer and
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you for your views. Okay, more questions, please.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
First of all, Eddie, we're happy to see you here. You dodged the inevitable for like twice in 12 months. Indeed, there's something, you have an unfinished business. And kudos to you because you've gone this far as a prime mover of this busway EDSA. Thank you for the country. My questions are, since your presentation is geared towards like, hey, private sector and public sector, let's join hands. Okay. My question is, and then you even mentioned that there are at least 30 private sectors who already signified their interest in this project, which is very well, very good so far. My questions are, how are you going to handle the tedious bidding process? You've mentioned, of course, that there are 2 levels. I know, I've been there. We always said it's just 2 levels, pre-qualification and the financial, but it's not that very easy. How are you because sometimes it derails the project. And of course, we have the PPP on the side, but they are just like, they're not implementers. They're just like facilitators and giving us advisory all throughout the stages of the project. So that's my first question. My second question is, if there is an improvement, of course, the fares will go higher. How are you going to handle this as far as the airfares is concerned? Because the riding public will definitely be affected. You've mentioned that at least 62% of the population of the Filipinos would like to have a car. And if I will translate that to the number of like 110 million, that's around 70 million. Masyadong madami. But there's a figure in there, but there was no figure how much percentage it will spur the economy of the country. It just says essential, and I agree with you. The third concern is is there a connectivity or interoperable with the other kinds of transport system? And the fourth being from my seatmate, Angela, how do you get this franchise, the bus franchises, to participate? We understand from around 4,000, it's now down to 500. So that's all. Sorry, it's all 4 questions all in one. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doris. You have very good questions. The first one is that the beauty with privatization is that the private sector companies, they have the financial resources, they have the technical and managerial expertise. So that's why we felt that by privatization through privatization, the busway can be upgraded because of these resources of the private sector. And they have demonstrated their capability in handling far more complex infrastructure projects. You know, if you ask me, this busway is very easy. It does not require rocket science. So if you listen to somebody tell you it's complicated, this and that, don't believe him. Okay? It is a very simple public infrastructure project to do. Okay? Now you mentioned about fare. You know, in the many interviews that I gave on this topic, that is always the question. So you in asking this. Now, you know, Doris, I have a very simple analysis to that one. I firmly believe that busway fares should not be higher than that of train fares. Okay? For the simple reason that the capital expenditures requirement for a busway is far less than a rail system. Okay, in fact, I have a slide. I didn't show, I have many slides, but I didn't show that, okay? Because I don't want to overload you with information. But just to give you a simple comparison. To date, as I said, the government spent only something like 800 million pesos. And yet, the busway already carried 335,000 passengers. No? Now, if you are going to compare a BRT against a subway, for instance, okay, one company offered to build a BRT for 200 kilometers long at only 1 billion pesos. 1 billion pesos, 200 kilometers. Now, if you're going to compare that against the subway that is being built now, it's going to cost us 8 billion pesos for 36 kilometers. So you can see the difference, no? The great difference. Okay, so that's why I have been saying, even to some prospective proponents who talk to me, I said, no, you know, there is no reason for you to propose a fare higher than that of the MRT or LRT. Okay. Now, Doris, my memory is not that good anymore, no? So what are the two other questions?
Is it interconnected or
Ah.
interoperable with the other transport system,
The,
like the MRT?
yes, what about?
You have connectivity with that?
Well, you know,
bus, the
if you're
stations?
going to compare the BRT, actually, a BRT can achieve the same efficiency as that of rail. Okay. And it can, because of the latest technology in transportation in these buses, you saw the picture that I showed, the long, so-called long bus trains. They are bi-articulated into 3 sections running on wheels. So I've been to Sydney and Toronto. I've seen they were retrofitting their streets with rails for rail trams. And I tell you, it was very messy and very disruptive. Okay. Now, the rail tram has already been overtaken by this latest technology, the long bus trains. So there's no need to build to install rails, steel rails on the streets. Okay, so I would say that the BRT is comparable to a rail tram, and it's going to be much cheaper, and it's easy to do, and it will take a shorter time. Within 2 years, you can have a BRT system. Okay. In fact, I'll share with you this information. one proponent who talked to me said that within 1 year, they can improve the busway system to comparable to that of a BRT. So that's why we are pushing for privatization. And by mobilizing the private sector, we engage in what we call social marketing in order for our policy makers to facilitate the way for them. You know, in government, there are so many players involved. One might push this idea, another will counter it, and there are people who are good in finding problems and solutions, okay, rather than in finding solutions to problems. So that's why, knowing that, that's why we mobilize. Freddy, you're laughing, no? Di ba? People who are good in finding problems and solutions rather than finding solutions to problems. People who look at trees rather than the forest. No, we know that. So because of that, in order for Secretary Bautista to have a easier time, we mobilize the private sector, okay, to back up privatization. If you still remember, sometime during the early years of the Duterte administration, when Secretary Tugade wanted to build the central train station in EDSA North, Speaker Alvarez came out publicly and said, I will not appropriate a single peso for that central station. Okay? So obviously there was something going on between the two of them, no? But what I did was I mobilized 13 of the largest business organizations to support that central bus station. And we published the statement. So the economic managers were very happy. Secretary Dominguez was very happy. Secretary Tugade was very happy. And after that, the opposition of Speaker Alvarez disappeared. So now, most likely, by the end of this year or next year, the central station will be inaugurated. So that's why you mentioned that the private sector and the public sector must work hand in hand. So we, in the private sector, that's what we are doing. We undertake policy advocacy. And we have succeeded in many instances. Okay, let me tell you, the estate tax that some of you will be paying has been reduced to 6%. Before it was 20%. How did that happen? Again, public policy advocacy. Right from the beginning, after Secretary Dominguez was appointed, he invited me to his office to discuss about tax reform. I'm a CPA. I'm not a transportation planner. I'm a CPA. I'm the fancy contract. We belong to the same school, no? So in that session with him, I suggested that the estate tax be reduced to 6%. So he asked me, what is your basis? He did not ask me for a project study. So he asked me, what's your basis? I said, simple, just align it with the final capital gains tax. So when he heard that, he said, oh, it makes sense. You have a high tax, nobody pays. Okay? So you bring it down to 6%, then you encourage more people to pay, no? So now, if you engage in estate planning, remember, you pay only 6% instead of 20%, no? Okay? Tax reform, we also work with the government. And I can say that in the case of some of the organizations I'm engaged in, like Phoenix, like FEF, we have tax experts. We attend public hearings. and we contribute ideas. On aviation, for instance, civil aviation, I was invited by Senator Grace Poe to attend a public hearing on civil aviation. So, Doris, that's what we do because, in our country, we have to admit, no, that really the government needs help. And we cannot just be aloof from the problems because it affects us. Like public transportation, it affects our business. It affects our life. The air pollution is terrible. It affects our employees. So that's why we cannot just be indifferent. So let me assure you that we will continue to do that.
Thank you, Eddie.
Okay, thank you, Eddie. We have a question here online for the online viewers. Comes from Mr. Toto Africa, and he says that when the busway was conceptualized, was the effect on the private vehicles considered? I'll repeat the question. When the busway was conceptualized, was the effect on the private vehicles considered? Eddie. Well, he's asking about the impact on the private vehicles and if it was considered when you conceptualized the busway concept.
Well, what the catalyst for us to get involved was the Carmageddon in 2015. You remember that there was a rainstorm, and because of that, it took 8 hours for commuters not to reach their destination. So that's why we constituted the traffic committee, and we look for ways in order to solve the problem. So that's why I prepared the position paper, consisting of short, medium, and long-term measures. So definitely, the welfare of the riding public is of paramount consideration. Now, and of course, that will also redound to our own benefit, because when there is economic growth, we benefit. And when there's improvement in mobility, productivity goes up. Because with traffic congestion, we know that JICA made a study. It costs 2.43 billion pesos per day in lost economic opportunities because of traffic. So definitely there is the motivation for us to get involved.
Thank you, Eddie. We have one more question. Sorry, we passed the time already, but I hope you don't mind more questions, Eddie.
First of all, I'd like to commend Chef Jessie for that excellent dark chocolates and biscuits that were brought. It's from you, Michael? Is that from you? Ah, okay. So it's from you. When are you traveling again? Question for PP Eddie. PP Eddie, today in the busway, the exclusive busway, commuters are not paying anything. Is that correct? Is that correct? The commuters don't pay when they use the bus. Okay. If this privatization takes place, could you look into your crystal ball and just give a little bit estimate? What will commuters be paying from, for example, Monumento to PTX? Just estimate so we can get a better appreciation.
Well, Libreng Sakay was extended until December 31. And, this is a political decision, okay? Because of the prevailing pandemic, the difficulties of the people. No? In our case, we do not want to get involved in a political matter because the dimension is completely different. They divorced from economics and sometimes logic. If we had our way, the Libreng Sakay program will be restructured in another way, not like this, blanket free for everybody during the entire day. Okay. But anyway, we would rather not say so because this is political dynamite, as I said. Now, when it comes to fare, Tony, I mentioned earlier that based on our simple analysis, there is no reason for bus fares to be the same or higher than that of train fares. So for instance, if the current fare is say 15 pesos for X number of kilometers for train, then for bus, it should not be the same. It should be lower because of cheaper capex. You know, as a businessman, you know, you amortize your capex over a number of years, no? So you have your fixed costs. So if your fixed cost is lower, then there's no reason for you to charge very high, no?
Well, thank you, Eddie, for your response. I believe we are past the time already. It's 12:15 to 20 almost. So I want to thank you, Eddie, for your insights again. And I leave the floor and pass the floor to President Michael Escalier for his response.
Thank you, past President Ed, for showing us the possibility of a better future. You open our minds to what can be, and I'm sure it with your advocacy it can be accomplished. And again, when I see every day when you pass by EDSA and you can see all the lines of people waiting, it really touches the heart. So I think the battle is worth fighting, and we wish you, and we have your full support. Everybody in this room, I'm sure, supports your vision. Thank you again for your contribution, and mabuhay tayong lahat. Thank you. Dr. Andrew, pwede bang bigyan si... Approve? Approve? Okay, approve. Okay, so with the power vested in me, I thank everybody for attending another Rotary Club meeting. I hereby call this meeting adjourned.